I'm going to get started at this point. Hello there, good afternoon. My name is John Kennedy. I'm the International Manager for the University of Technology Sydney Business School, UTS Business. This session is about our Master of Business Administration, MBA. I'm going to talk through just a few quick slides, give a bit of a brief background to the business school and the university. And then we're going to listen to Dr. Hussain Ramal, who's actually the course director for our Master of Business Administration. He did a webinar not too long ago where he discussed the MBA, its relevance to the market right now and why it's still a very valuable degree to be pursuing. And we'll also talk through the MBA structure. We've recently refreshed our MBA at UTS Business, and we've updated a few features about its core and its structure, and Dr. Ramal will touch on those during his webinar as well. So before we get to that, as I said, I'm just going to touch on a few quick points. Obviously, universities do like to talk about rankings. I'm not going to concentrate too much on this area, but just wanted to highlight that University of Technology Sydney is actually a relatively young university. In fact, with the number one ranked young university in Australia and under 50 years old. So we haven't been around for a tremendous amount of time, but we have achieved a tremendous amount in that short amount of time. We've been climbing incredibly well in the rankings. Importantly, our research is having great impact across the world, and we have wonderful industry connectivity. And it's that industry connectivity that really makes our courses stand out. It's what we're really kind of known for in Australia, is the practical nature of our courses and how much industry exposure our students get throughout their course. Now, that's very true for the MBA in particular. Obviously, industry connectivity is a huge and vital part of the MBA, but more broadly across all our courses, we try to give tremendous access to industry throughout. As you can see, the last point I want to just quickly touch on this slide was that our rating for research is incredibly high. We're first in Australia for our research and engagement impact. Now, that's incredibly important, particularly at postgraduate level. To be a university that is conducting research that does have this great impact is incredibly important because it filters down into the teaching and the methodologies that the students are being exposed to. Our academics within the business school, many of them are still working in industry or have come directly from industry or have incredible industry connectivity. And the research and those industry connections combined really do feed into the course design and structure to make sure that the courses are incredibly practical and relevant and of a very high quality. I wanted to just touch really briefly on one of our amazing alumni. This is Madhavi Shankar, and in 2020 she won our International Alumni Award. She's done a couple of postgraduate degrees with us. She completed a Master of Engineering Management in 2014, but also completed the Master of Business Administration in 2015. Madhavi is a wonderful representative for the university. Has done some amazing things in the world. Most recently, she has a platform called Space Basic, and that platform kind of manages hostels and student accommodation in India. And just this year, reached over 1 million users on that platform. She's got a great creativity and entrepreneurial spirit and ambitions, and we're very proud of what Madhavi is achieving. If you want to find out more about Madhavi, there's a link on the screen there, but also just type in Madhavi Shankar UTS or just indeed Madhavi Shankar Space Basic, and you will find loads of information about what she's achieved and also about her time at UTS Business and why she found it valuable. I briefly touched on the academics already. This is Dr. Amanda White. She works in the accounting discipline within our business school. I just wanted to highlight Amanda White as part of this session today because she just recently won a prestigious Australian award for teaching excellence, which was a nationwide award ceremony. And Dr. Amanda White is very passionate about her subject. She has a thing for auditing, not my personal thing, but Dr. Amanda White loves it. And she has a really great way of teaching. That enthusiasm really comes through, and she has a very innovative way of approaching her subjects. I'd recommend, again, typing Dr. Amanda White UTS into Google. She has her own YouTube channel. If you go on there, you'll get to see a bit of her teaching style and just get a sense of what it's like to be at UTS Business. Now, some key messages that I hope kind of are taken away from today's session is that our courses overall, but in particular the MBA, especially now we've got this new refreshed structure, is that the MBA is incredibly practical. It is very focused on industry and industry needs. It has been refreshed and tied to what industry are looking for. And we've listened to feedback from both students and industry and really designed the course around that feedback and need. It's incredibly flexible. This is probably one of the major kind of unique points about our MBA is the flexibility and the power you have as the student to design the MBA around your own interests, or indeed what you want to achieve in terms of maybe reskilling or pursuing a particular type of career. You have a lot of choice in how you build the degree, what electives, what majors you choose. We give you a lot of power to really construct an MBA that's very specific to what you want and need. So it's not a generic MBA that everyone will be doing the same thing. You can design this MBA to really suit what you want. We've touched on industry connectivity. Hopefully that will come up later as well in Dr. Ramal's talk. In fact, I know it does. I've seen it, but you'll hear more about that shortly. And of course, there is professional recognition. So there are various majors you can choose as part of the MBA, and those are either recognized or accredited with all the major professional accrediting bodies, which obviously guarantees their quality in teaching, but also means that the degree will be recognized worldwide wherever you want to pursue your career. If you have looked at our MBA options already, or you've had a chat about them, you will have seen currently that we have 4 MBA programs. So we have the standard MBA, Master of Business Administration, which is the one that we're talking about today. Now, you'll also see on our website currently that there's the MBA in Entrepreneurship and Advanced MBA and Executive MBA. These are changing. So I wanted to just make clear in today's session that if you are looking at those other 3, those are changing and will no longer exist for our upcoming sessions. So the MBA, as I've already mentioned, is changing, new structure, updated core and increased flexibility, which you'll hear about. And then the Executive MBA is kind of rolling those other options that we just saw on the previous slide into this new Executive MBA. So we're going from 4 MBA programs down to 2 to keep it more simple. Now, the Executive MBA is open to international students. You will need to complete a graduate certificate via distance learning mode to be able to enter that EMBA, but it is all packaged together if you did want to choose that option. Obviously, today it's focusing on the MBA and not the EMBA. So if you do have questions about that, you can go back to the main hub and discuss that, or send us some queries once the presentation is over. There'll be some contact details at the end. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is actually play a previous webinar that was conducted with the director of the MBA program, Dr. Hussain Ramal. And he will run through the program in a bit more detail, again, kind of touch on that new refreshed format and core, and explain why the MBA is still a really relevant program to do and why it's industry really kind of look for students with an MBA and graduates with an MBA, because the skill set that you can learn through an MBA is incredibly valuable and flexible to industry's needs. So I'll put that on, and then if there are any questions at the end, I'm happy to take any.
Brilliant. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. We're going to be taking a close look at the MBA at UTS Business School. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, upon whose ancestral lands our city campus now stands. I would also like to pay respects to the elders, both past and present, acknowledging them as the traditional custodians of knowledge for this land. Now, just before we get started, I'd just like to bring your attention to the fact that we'll be recording today's session, and by taking part in this, you're consenting to the recording being made publicly available. We're not going to be using your names in any Q&A, so there'll be anonymity, but the session will be recorded. So my name is John Elliott, and I'm fortunate enough to be the Marketing and Communications Manager. And joining me this afternoon, I'm joined by the wonderful Associate Professor Hussain Ramal, who is the Director of the UTS MBA program. How are you doing today, Hussain?
Very well, John, and thank you everyone for joining us today.
So just a quick little bit of housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, you're not able to access the web. UTS is a pretty good crack. You can see what we're teaching.
Was that they would miss, I think, we rooms the form of
for over a century now, and certainly at UTS for over 30 years. So the big question is the MBA still a relevant qualification? Like, why do people continue to invest in the MBA?
Well, it's a very good question, John. The MBA is still highly regarded globally, and we only have to look at the surveys that have taken place. The surveys are showing that it continues to be and growing in popularity in Australia and many countries in Asia and Europe. A recent survey done last year asked that question: why are people taking it? And the skills that they get, that was seen as a very important one. And you can see on your screen as well, there are a number of advantages you get. Myself, I've done an MBA degree, so I'm very happy to share some of what I've experienced. It does allow you to get a career progression, regardless of what your sector that you work in or what your first undergraduate degree was. The MBA provides a building block initially with the core subjects. So if you're coming from a non-business background, you can learn about all the functional areas in business, and then you can progress and learn about how to make decisions that are strategic in nature. Now, this could be related to your own field. It could be someone from information technology, an IT manager, or it could be someone who is a strategic manager, but now wants to be ahead of the game, needs to stay competitive. So it allows for these multitude of things. You can switch sectors if you're coming from one area, which is a specialized one, and you want to be more of a generalized decision maker, then the MBA also allows that. And what it also does, it accelerates your pathway. So it starts moving you towards that C-suite, that executive decision-making area. And there's a recognition, as I mentioned, globally, but in the industry especially, that if you've done an MBA, you would have the knowledge to be able to understand business reports, understand what, and use that to think strategically and make decisions. So hence it remains very popular.
And Hussain, talk us through the options that are available at UTS in relation to sort of how long and entry pathways into the MBA.
Yes, the MBA is a 2-year full-time program. It can be done part-time, but you can see different options on your screen. So it's 16 subjects in total. Now, if you're coming with no prior degree, you can enter through a graduate certificate in business. That's a 4 subjects program. You then either can do a graduate diploma, which is 8 subjects, or you can get credit for each of them and continue on till you finish the 16 subjects. What it also does is it gives you an exit point. So at any point, you've done 4 subjects, you need to take a break, you can leave with a graduate certificate in business administration, come back later when you're ready and join into the graduate diploma, getting credit for those existing 4 subjects. So in total, it's 16 subjects, but as you can see, it's very flexible. So that gives you a benefit as well.
And Hussain, who's the MBA designed for? What sort of person should apply for this course?
It's a range of people. Look, with the UTS MBA especially, there's a lot of benefits you get, and it doesn't matter, as I mentioned, what your professional background is or what your first degree was, because one of the things that we will discuss a bit later is that idea that we allow for specialization, or that we emphasize specialization. So anyone who's thinking about moving up who's thinking about, well, I need to understand the more decision-making part, the more strategy, how to apply that. And you want to learn about what's the current thinking in business and what will the future look like. I think that's what we provide. It's for anyone who's thinking about a career progression or wanting to change career paths, switch their sector. The MBA is certainly for those people.
And if people don't have a degree, that's okay, isn't it? If they've got lots of experience, but they never finished their undergraduate or did TAFE or something similar?
Absolutely. So the graduate certificate entry pathway would be the one we would recommend for it, because that will allow you to use your experience that you have and to enter. And also it may be that some people have not been to the university for a long time, you know, they finished their first degree and they've been working for a long time. And to get used to that idea of coming back into the university, at least you know you have an exit point if you need to take a little breather. So the graduate certificate entry pathway would be one that would be quite suitable for anyone without a degree or anyone who is a bit concerned about coming back to the university sector.
Excellent. So the MBA at UTS, after many years, has just had a little bit of a facelift. Hussain, do you want to talk us through the new structure, please?
I certainly am going to, because I'm quite excited about this. This new structure is a response to what students have told us, our alumni has told us, and what our industry partners have told us. So it takes in all the feedback, and it's again going with the idea that we want students to be prepared for what it looks like in the future. So we've got our 16 subjects. Now the 16 subjects include 6 core subjects. That's common across all students, regardless of what major or sub-majors you might think. Now, these 6 subjects are functional in nature. So there's a subject on management, we'll talk in a minute, but there's subjects from management, marketing, economics, finance, and accounting. So they give you that building, that basic building blocks that you can build your knowledge on. Once you've done those 6 subjects, then you have a number of options available. The first one is to take a major. Now that major can be in one of the various options. We've got 12 options available that you can choose from. So say, for example, if you were interested in marketing, you could do a marketing major, and that would consist of 6 subjects. Now, taking those 6 subjects means you have the option of either taking another sub-major for the remainder 4 subjects or 4 electives. So it could be 6 subjects in marketing. You could do a sub-major in international business, for example, or you could take 4 electives from across the offerings in the university. So they're not just from the business school. You may be interested in a business law subject, or you may be interested in something on design thinking. There are close to 150 options available that students can take from. So that gives a bit of flexibility. Now, there is another option as well. If you don't want that option, there is the sub-majors option. So you can either take 2 sub-majors, which is 4 subjects each. So let's imagine it's, again, you want a sub-major in marketing, a sub-major in international business, and that leaves you with 2 electives that you can choose. Or you can do 1 sub-major and then choose 6 elective subjects. So what we have done with the restructure is given that flexibility to choose electives from a range of different areas. And that's again going back to the point of UTS MBA being flexible, and it is catered, or you can actually decide how it best fits your career pathway and the sector that you're working in.
And those core subjects, does that mean that I don't need to know, if I'm starting this in, say, July, I don't need to know right now what my majors are going to be, or what my sub-majors, or even what program, whether it's the major or 2 sub-majors?
Absolutely. For the first semester, if you're doing it full-time, you do not have to worry, because 4 of the subjects will be from the core. And during that semester, you can make a choice for what will happen in the second semester. If you're doing it part-time, you don't have to make that decision till the second semester when your 4 subjects are completed. So yeah, there's plenty of time, and please do talk to myself or the teaching staff that you come across to discuss if you have any queries about options available and what would work best for you.
Excellent. And just looking at, we've had a question about flexibility. It is quite flexible. This new program starts in 2021, but if people are looking at starting the MBA in July, and we've got a lot of demand for the July intake, will they be able to transition into the new structure seamlessly?
Absolutely. So we have a transition arrangement in place. And if you look at the MBA course subjects that are available in the new structure, I think it's on the next screen, you can see that barring the last one, which is strategic management, that is a capstone subject. You do that in your final semester, and it's there for you to apply all the knowledge you've gained throughout the degree to work on assignments. So as we said, strategy is the core for the entire program. But if you look at the other 5 subjects, say for example, if you're joining next semester, you may take one of the subjects that's in the current structure, which is marketing management. And if you do that, you can get credit for it in the next semester, which means you would have completed what's number 4 there, marketing decision making. So you would still get credit for it, and you can transition into the new program, which means you can take these different major and sub-major options.
Alrighty. And speaking of majors, you mentioned before there were 12 majors that people can choose from?
Yes, so 12 majors, and you can see quite a number of our majors are accredited by the professional bodies. So professional accounting, finance, the human resource one with the Australian Human Resource Institute, finance with FinCEA, professional accounting with CPA and CA. So these are accredited ones, and that means that you can take any of these major options. And we also have about 20 sub-major options, which include many of these. For example, accounting and international business are also offered as a sub-major option. So you have a huge variety to choose from. And that is one of our key differences that makes the UTS MBA more flexible and more focused to your needs. And that would be my top point, because that's where we are. We are in the business hub of the largest city in Australia. This is where multinationals are. This is where you've got regional head offices. This is where SMEs are, small, medium enterprises. This is where family businesses are. So I think the fact that we are in the middle and the heart of the business area of Australia means that we are so well connected. And that allows our students to be well connected to the industry. We're also in what we would say is the innovation hub in New South Wales, the technology innovation hub. We're an entrepreneurial focused university as well. So it's a lot of learning that you can get by being in the program and being on campus. But there are a lot of other benefits. There are a lot of MBA programs out there in the market. But again, I would say, look at the benefits you want from your career. So this option of doing majors or sub-majors, you're not just doing a standard MBA. You're doing one where you could say, I've had the ability to select the choices in how I study and what I study. So I think that flexibility is very important. We're also, as I said, with the offerings, with weekends and blocking times, the night classes, it allows you to balance your work life and study. That is a major thing that everyone should be aware of, because it is a commitment. It's a big commitment. It has a lot of positives for your career as doing an MBA, but it is a commitment. So go into a program like we do that considers all these things. And the most important thing, I would say, in the end, all of these are important, but the most important thing, going back to what I said earlier, is is your degree going to be globally recognized?
Mm.
And I think the professional bodies accrediting our majors and the fact that we are AACSB accredited, which is an American assurance of quality in business schools and standards, that means we've got a global recognition. There are not that many universities around the world who have a AACSB accreditation in business schools, and we are one of them. We're in the top 150 ranked across business and management worldwide. And the latest QS ranking also showing that we're going up globally. So go somewhere where you'll see quality, where you'll be recognized for it. And I think the UTS MBA ticks all of those boxes.
Yeah, just on that, yeah, you're right. The QS rankings for the university as a whole came out, and we've gone up 7 more points just this morning from 140 to 133 worldwide, and we're certainly one of the youngest universities in the world at that high ranking. So yeah, rankings are a good arbiter of quality as well. And so before we open up to, we've got quite a few questions that have come in. If I could just ask you, for anybody who's considering doing an MBA, what's your #1 tip for people that are considering doing it, whether it's here or anywhere? What tip would you give them?
It's a very good question, John. Now, I'll answer it this way. Before you make that commitment, as I've been saying, the MBA or any postgraduate degree, and regardless of whether it's UTS or anywhere else, before you take that decision of which university you go, write down what you want out of that degree. Okay, what's the benefit you'll get? Now, there are programs out there that are, you know, when you look at it, you go, wow, I can do a very quick accelerated MBA, or this is half the cost, you know, so there are all these providers out there. But I would ask you to spend some time researching. Go and see what subjects are offered, what flexibility is there, what options are there, and what does it mean for your career? And more than that, go beyond what the university is telling you. Go beyond what John and I are telling you.
Yes.
Go and see their LinkedIn page. Go and see who the alumni are. Go and maybe, if you know the alumni, talk to them. Get some first-hand knowledge from them. Find out what their experience was. We are very proud. We're very confident that we offer a highest quality program. So before you make that decision, which is a major decision in your career, be very sure you choose the program that's going to give you all the benefits that you're looking for.
Okay, well, that was the talk from the course director, Dr. Hussain Ramal. I hope you found that of interest and maybe learn a bit more about our MBA and why it's still, you know, an incredibly valuable course to be taking. There are different ways that you can contact the business school. Those are listed on the page here. Obviously, you can go through agents or any other method that you currently use to contact the school. We look forward to hearing from you, and I hope that today's session was useful, and have a great rest of afternoon. Thank you very much for attending.